for an after dinner walk on the golf course here. Not quite sure where the golf course goes, but yeah. Take a walk. Not being off. Oh, there goes the ball. Out of bounds. Ball there. Little water hazard. 19th hole. I think I want to. Well, maybe I'll skirt on this side of the water hazard. While I'm taking this walk, tell you a story about something I experienced a while back, and it's kind of timely with the interview with Hashnasi about things that threaten our gun rights or gun owner rights. And one of the things I mentioned him was gun Nazis, and I got a gun Nazi story for you. A couple of them, really. First one I personally experienced. I was at a local gun range that I was a member of, and they had some kind of shoot. It wasn't like a walking gun, IDPA. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was sanctioned or what, or just a club function. But anyway, there was a shoot at the local gun club, and it was open to the public. And one other gun member, a new gun club member, showed up for the shoot. I wasn't shooting, so I just showed up to see what the what the process was and what they did and their what rules and whatnot. So I showed up, and I'm just sitting at one of the tables, and the gun range was adjacent to the room I was in. So I'm just sitting there talking, socializing with some of the other members there, and one other guy, like I said, showed up, and he had his range bag, a little duffel bag, a little rectangular duffel bag, and he was unpacking his stuff. Pulled his cartridges out, pulled his holster out and stuff like that. Put his holster on on his belt, and he pulled out his gun, and his gun was clearly unloaded. There were no magazines in it. The slide was locked back, and I mean, you'd be an idiot. Even a non-gun person could tell that it wasn't loaded. So he takes his gun, and it was one of those holsters. I think it might have been a Serpa, and or something like it. But he was able to take the gun with the slide lock back and stick it in his holster. And the guy that was sitting next to me, I was talking to him a little bit, and I was talking to another guy. The guy sitting next to me kind of does one of these. I mean, he like whips his head around, and he goes, "Please don't unholster that gun." And the dude that did it is like, "Oh, sorry." He's like, "It's loaded." So, "It doesn't matter. You're not supposed to have your gun unholstered here." And I'm thinking to myself, so I look around and it's like, there's no signs or anything that say, you know, all guns must be holstered, or cold range, or you know, this area is a cold range area, or whatever. And there's nothing that tells any human being, member or not, that you're not supposed to have an unholstered gun. In fact, I don't even remember there being anything in the bylaws, because I rewrote the bylaws for I transcribed them. Really, I didn't rewrite them. I just it was a really bad copy of a copy of a copy, and I volunteered to retype the bylaws into like a Word format. Anyway, so I don't recall anything in the bylaws that say you're not allowed to have your gun unholstered, unloaded or not. So this guy just like went crazy, man. He was like, and rightly so. The guy, the offender, very apologetic. It's like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry. You know, I'm a new member, and I've never been to this meet before, or I've never been to an event like this before, and now I'm just, you know, I thought it was okay." And the guy's like, "Well, it's not. So just don't, you know, just keep your gun holstered." And then the gun Nazi kind of backed off after the offender, you know, showed that he was complicit. You know, and to me, if it were me personally, I think I would have just packed my toys and went home. I was like, and this guy wasn't like the range officer or nothing. He was just another member sitting there. There was nothing to identify him as a range officer, nothing to identify that he had any, you know, not that it should matter if it's a safety issue, but he seemed to be the only one that was really concerned about it. All the other members just kind of looked over and said, you know, so I personally wouldn't have handled it like that. If it truly was a rule that you weren't supposed to have your gun unholstered or whatever in that room, I would have said, "Hey, just so you know, you really need to leave your gun in your holster." And that would have been the end of it. The dude would have been, "Oh, okay, sorry." But I mean, he acted like the guy had a round in the chamber and was ready to go postal on everybody in the room. And even as a gun owner and a shooter and even a member of the gun club, I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" You know. So anyway, the shoot went off pretty much without a hitch. People, you know, observed all the safety rules once, you know, within reason. You know, keep your finger off the trigger, and they said, you know, it was kind of one of those things after you're shooting, you show the range officer the slide is locked back. I think it's like drop the magazine or something like that. Close the slide and do a dry fire on the ground, and that was pretty much it. But I mean, just that one incident really stuck in my head. You know, it's like, oh my gosh. Why would I be a member of this club if I have a potential of running into people like this, even as a gun owner, you know, and so those people, you you range Nazis might agree with that guy, but just know that that is the best way to turn off new shooters, for sure. You know, because if that's what it means to be a shooter, well, I guess I don't have what it takes, or you know, I think I'm gonna go to another club where people treat you a little more civilly. Anyway, you know, just the whole thing. I mean, the guy treated him like an idiot. You know, clearly the slide was locked back. Clearly there was no magazine in the slide, in the grip. And you can say, well, from his vantage point, he might not have seen that the slide was locked back. It's like bull crap. You know, that's just a pure excuse to justify being a range Nazi. So anyway, that's range Nazi story number one. Range Nazi story number two was a YouTube video I saw where a guy was shooting, and I think it was IDPA. I think it was IDPA because I saw another video talking about IDPA, and supposedly the rules are, I've never shot IDPA, I have no opinion for or against IDPA. I thought about shooting IDPA at one time, just didn't have the time. Not that I had anything against them. But apparently IDPA rules, you're not supposed to drop your magazines when you reload. And they do what they call tactical reloads, where you're supposed to drop your magazine with rounds in it, hold on to it, and pop another magazine in. Well, this one guy's video, he was shooting, I don't know if it was first time or you know, if he was a regular shooter, and but he was shooting on the range, on the line, and he went to go drop his magazine, I don't know, by accident or because he didn't know or was never faced with it. He dropped his magazine on the ground and kept going, and at the end of his shoot sequence, the range officer said, "Oh, well, you're disqualified." And he goes, "Why?" He says, "Well, because you dropped your magazine." Or it might have gone down where, you know, he was disqualified right away for dropping his magazine, or he was deducted points or something. I can't remember. But he got dinged for dropping his magazine on the ground. And instead of the range officer going, "Oh, well, do you know why you got dinged?" And the guy says, "Yeah, because I dropped my magazine," or whatever. You know, once the guy acknowledged that he knew what he did wrong, that should have been the end of it. But the guy's like, "Well," and I think the guy kind of argued. It's like, "Well, why is that rule?" or something like that. And the range officer, no, anyway. But the range officer made a big deal out of it. "Well, you wouldn't do that in real life, would you? You wouldn't just drop your magazine. You come back for it, right?" or something like that. And the guy was kind of like, "What?" I was like, "Do it in real life." It's like, "Well, how do you know what I would do in real life?" You know, he said, "Would you leave your magazine on the ground in real life?" or whatever it was. But you know, he decided to, the range officer decided to lecture this guy and said, "Well, that's the rules." You know, and to me, again, if I was a noob shooting in IDPA and I didn't know all the rules, one, I would hope that IDPA has a noob course that runs you through to explain all the rules, or has, you know, some kind of practice course. And two, I mean, if you make a mistake, you made a mistake, right? Just don't do it next time. You don't have to be an ass about it, because you know, even though you're one gun person talking to another gun person, gun people don't like to be treated like idiots either. You know, so keep your pompous ass comments to yourself. I mean, if you're gonna truly train somebody or teach somebody, you know, talk to them like a person, like a you know, with a little respect. You know, as what's his name, Matt from Never Enough Ammo. He says, you want respect, you got to give respect to get respect. So anyway, that's my little story time on gun Nazis. But you make your own decisions, and I personally, if you're going to be a range Nazi, I choose not to associate with you. So that's all I got. Later.